Here we go with Trunner number 2 for Sadie. We start off with a little bit of warm-ups like catch or yeses. Then we go right into leash pressure drills. The leash pressure is supposed to be used to move her, but also for her to prove the behavior. So right here, I'm going to time it the moment that she moves towards the leash, wherever you're pulling it, you're gonna mark it, and then you're gonna lure her, you're gonna guide her with the food in your hand a little bit away into a little U-turn back next to you. So you're gonna observe little pressure right here, then she moves, I mark, and back into that position, which is the walking position. Then you're going to do it again and then move her on the opposite side. She does really good. She's wiggly, so she's willing to kind of go around. Some dogs will have a more difficult time because they don't have that big of, I guess, rear end motor skills, but she does, so that not much of a problem here. Then after a couple of those, I recommend going into your sits, your downs, while still applying pressure before you say the command. So if I say down, I'm going to apply the pressure and say down. If I say sit, I'm going to apply the pressure and then say sit. So that afterward, you can just say the word and they already get it in their head. This is the expectation. And so we're going to do this a couple times. Once we do this and she knows that she should stay there, I'm going to start proving that she knows the behavior by applying the leash pressure in a counterintuitive approach right there. And now I'm saying good, adding some pressure and breaking her off when she stays there and fights for her position. I can do a free, I can do a yes marker, I can do a get it marker, so long as she actually stays there. You want to make sure you're having fun with everything. Don't get frustrated and don't yank your dog. You don't want to set them up for failure. You want to set them up for success. So do this multiple times. And right here, she fails. And I just say, no, put her back on, set her up for success again. And then I give her a reward. So once your dog understands this, you're going to need to practice this not only in the room that you train in, you're going to need to practice anywhere else, like the kitchen, living room, outside patio, lobby. Then you take it all outside. But she needs to understand that you mean business and that you will correct her and in any environment. Just because we're inside doesn't mean that the training goes away once we're outside. It's any environment, you're going to repeat the same thing, but it needs to be 100% inside the home before it's taken outside. Then we can start doing all these other exercises outside. But now we're practicing duration and distance. She's doing really good. As you can see, she's in the crate. Very little leash pressure that I applied. And afterward, we're going to see that I don't even apply any pressure. And she does really good. I did teach her spin. Spin is an extra one that we'll talk about later, but it helps with engagement. So let's say she's slowing down or is just not as engaged. You can say spin. It's a fun one, like catch, and you're like, do it, and you're going to get a reward. And it just gets that dopamine rush in their head going. Here I was moving my hands to see if she was going to break the command, which she didn't, and so I released her with the marker. That's the only time our dog should really break the command. If we don't give them the marker, then they should stay there. And if they don't stay there, then there's a correction that comes afterward. Here, I'm proving the down. We're going to do a lot of distance, a lot of duration, a lot of distractions. But right now, I'm just breaking down all the behaviors that I want her to know before we start making it a little bit more difficult. So this is basically level 1. And there's a lot to level 1, but it's important to set the foundation correctly instead of just assuming that our dog knows it and then now we're getting frustrated because they're breaking it off consecutively, and it's just because we have our own expectations. So we're trying to teach them what our expectations are while still having fun. You can see she's getting a little tired. I'm adding some duration to the down. I'm adding some distance. But after this, I'm going to give her a little break, and then we're going to continue. We want to keep the sessions short and sweet before extending them. So you just want her to always like the session. If you see that she is getting mouthy or jumpy, then it seems like she's getting a little frustrated. So we might have gone a little too long. As you can see here, she wanted to jump a little. Now I tried to communicate to her with just the commands and the lure, which is our food. No leash pressure, and she does amazing, as you're gonna see. But I do it speed over duration. I don't want her to stay in a behavior for so long. I do it maybe 2-3 seconds max, and then I'm like, okay, you can break it and come for a reward, or I come and reward you there. And first time going in on command with no leash pressure, she is so smart. She is a little bit too smart, so she's gotten away with a lot of things, but we're working on it here. Okay, so now we took a quick break, and I still want to do things with less leash pressure just to see where she's at. Training wheels are still on, but I'm kind of trying to see if I can take them off. I basically want her to stay on a sit, stay on a down, even if I take a couple steps away. And this just helps with separation anxiety. This helps with a lot of mental stimulation, her staying in one spot. It's not normal for dogs to stay in one spot. So that's where it's important for us to teach them that this is what's supposed to happen. And then we will tell them when they should move and do these things. But breaking it down this way, you're basically getting pieces to the puzzle, and then you're going to connect them all afterward. Once you understand this inside, you take it outside and do the same thing. Just because she's perfect inside the home doesn't mean you go straight into a down and keep her there for 5 minutes outside. Lot of distractions that are outside, so you want to make sure that she knows the behavior inside and outside, because we've set the time for each and every one of them. Sadie, great. Good job. Good. I move on to closing the crate here and adding distance while the crate is closed. You can reward with the crate being closed and just through the crate door, or you can open it and reward there. Even though the door is opened, it should still mean she stays there. So just because the door is open doesn't give her an invitation to go through it unless you give the marker, like how I did, which was free. Then we had a little party. Give her a reward for making the choice to sit down or not jump on me. More of a party with catch. And then we're going to move on to the next phase of the training. Good. Last thing here is adding duration to place. So adding duration is important not only for place but for each command, but we want to teach her what duration even is. We're going to do duration and distance. I already practiced with duration, her staying there for a longer period of time. Distance is where dogs get a little confused because now we're leaving them and they think, are you never going to come back? And it's a matter of just starting off a couple steps, then a couple more, then a couple more. If your dog breaks the command, which is place right now, too many times because you go a certain distance, then that is where you need to slow it down. Slow it down and go, let's say it's 5 steps that you take and she keeps breaking it, then go to only 3 steps and do that 10, maybe 20 times where she doesn't break any of them, and then take the extra 2 steps after you've done that. So if you need to slow it down more for a dog that has so much separation anxiety, can't be without you, is a Velcro dog, then take the time for it. But for her, we didn't need to take that long. She's okay with it. I did correct her every now and then, as you're going to see in a couple minutes. But she is okay staying there. You just need to have that proper communication with the leash pressure, with your word of no, place, and then good once you're leaving. Come back, reward in position, or if you want to break them, you can break them. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Dogs will understand very quickly so long as you don't let them get away with it. You want to keep them accountable 9 out of 10 times. If you can do 10 out of 10 times, even better. But we are human, and so sometimes we just space out and we're not there. Dogs will just understand after a certain amount of times that you're not going to let them get away with things. And then don't reward them if they break it. If they break the behavior, you say no, put them back with leash pressure, and then you make them work twice as hard for that reward. Some dogs are smart enough to understand that if I break this command, I go to them, they're going to put me back, and I'm going to get rewarded quicker. And that's where I want us to understand, us humans to understand, no, you need to work twice as hard for this reward now. You thought you were going to get it sooner, now you're going to get it even later. So it's just taking that time, not getting frustrated about it, really having that patience for your dog. You love them, they love you, hopefully. And it's a matter of just understanding, having that clear communication, having that leadership, and that builds the connection between you and your pup.
Good.
Another thing I'd like to mention is you want to pay your dog for the exact behavior that you are asking for. If I put Sadie in a crate and her snout is passing the crate door or her paw is passing it, then she is finding a loophole to my command, and that is not acceptable in my eyes, nor it should be acceptable in your eyes. This is creating the clear communication that we are aiming for.
Okay. So now I have to walk. I'm gonna practice.
Lastly, here I'm going to start getting her used to the let's go. In order to start off with the let's go, I position Sadie in between the wall and myself. And it's just to make sure that she stays close to us in that position. So before I begin, I keep her lured and then I say, let's go. We take a couple steps and I'm rewarding each step. And then I mark after we get to the end with a yes, taking a couple steps backwards while she chases me. We rinse and repeat. I'm saying good as she's walking next to me, and then I break her from the let's go command while I run backwards. After a couple times, you can start practicing no wall, and she should stay in that same position. Same thing with the yes and walking backwards. You can say the let's go again. You do this a couple times, and then you practice the sit. You practice a sit or a down so that they can understand that, oh, we're going from a dynamic behavior, which is moving, to a static behavior, which is not moving. And that is where it's important to teach individually before you break it all together, or you put it all together, because it's just very clear to your dog. As you can see, she's still very jumpy, so we're going to need to work on that. But so far, I am enjoying every bits of training that I've done with her, and I hope that we see a great amount of progress.